So you think you're safe, right? You've got backups, but what if I told you that's, well, not nearly enough? Today, we're going way beyond just having a backup. We're going to explore what true data resilience on Google Cloud actually looks like and why a real, tested strategy is the only thing that's going to save you when things really go sideways. All right, let's just jump right in with a question that honestly probably gives you nightmares. It happens. It's not an if, it's a when. Your entire application, your company's crown jewels, suddenly, poof, gone. What's your very first move? And let's be real, freaking out is not a recovery strategy. So to really get a feel for this, let's not just talk theory. Let's walk through a story. Because this isn't some abstract concept. It's the kind of quiet catastrophe that can happen to anyone, even the very best teams, usually on a perfectly normal Tuesday. Picture this, a deployment script, just a small bug, goes completely rogue. And this thing, it doesn't just hit one spot. Nope. It takes out your main production database, corrupts the virtual machine running your core application, and wipes out a whole folder of critical files. This is a total multi-system failure. And that clock you hear? That's the sound of money and customer trust just draining away. Okay, first things first. We have to bring back the heart of the entire operation, the database. If the database is down, absolutely nothing else matters. So let's focus on our first critical rescue mission. So in our story, it's a classic case. A junior engineer trying to do some cleanup in what they thought was a staging environment accidentally runs a drop database command against production. It's a simple, honest human mistake, but the consequences? Catastrophic. The entire database has vanished. Okay, so this is where a lot of people get tripped up. You might think, I have exports, I have CSV files, and that's great for moving data around or doing some analysis. But for a full-blown, oh no, everything's on fire disaster, an export won't cut it. You need a true backup, a special binary file designed for one job and one job only, bringing a dead database back to life. And this is where our first hero enters the chat, point-in-time recovery, or PIT-R for short. Just think of it like a time machine for your data. You see, a standard backup might get you back to how things were last night, but you'd lose a whole day of data. PIT-R is different. It uses a full backup plus a constant stream of transaction logs, which means you can rewind to the exact second before that disastrous command was run. It's an absolute game changer for minimizing data loss. Now, when you look at how this works, there's one step that's absolutely non-negotiable. Step 1, you have to have enabled point-in-time recovery before the disaster. It's not something you can turn on after the fact. But if you did that prep work, the rest is surprisingly calm. You just pick the timestamp, Google spins up a new instance with your data perfectly restored, you double-check it, and point your app to the new location. And just like that, you've averted a crisis. Okay, deep breath. The database is back. That's huge. But we're not out of the woods yet. Our application still isn't running because the VM itself got scrambled. So time to fix our compute layer. So that runaway script, it wasn't just deleting stuff. It was also scribbling junk all over our virtual machine's hard drive, its persistent disk. Now the operating system is so corrupted, the whole thing won't even boot up. The app is still down. So what's our tool for this? Meet persistent disk snapshots. And the design here is just brilliant. These aren't giant, full copies of your hard drive every single time. No, they're incremental. After the first snapshot, they only save the little bits that have changed. This is what makes them so slick. They're incredibly fast, they're cheap, and you can take them without ever shutting down your machine. And you're probably noticing a pattern here, right? It feels a lot like what we just did with the database. You find the last known good version from before everything went wrong, you create a brand new disk from that snapshot, you attach it to a fresh new VM, and you boot it up. And boom, your application is back online. All right, we're getting there. Database is restored, VM is back online. But wait, something's still missing. That rogue script also deleted a whole folder of user files. We've got to tackle this final piece of the recovery puzzle. And we're not talking about temp files here. Think about it. This could be your user's profile pictures, critical financial reports, legal documents, you name it. They were all sitting in a cloud storage bucket, and now they're gone. Or are they? This is where a little feature called object versioning becomes, and I'm not exaggerating, your absolute best friend. When you enable this on a storage bucket, deleting a file doesn't actually delete it. It just hides the old version and marks it as non-current. It's basically a magical undo button for every single file in that bucket. And the recovery? It's ridiculously simple. But
and you knew this was coming, it hinges on that one thing. You had to have turned it on beforehand. With versioning enabled, you just tell cloud storage, hey, show me all the hidden versions. You find the one from right before the deletion, and you copy it back. Done. It's really that easy.
So we did it. We recovered the database, we got the VM back, we undeleted the files, we survived. But, and this is the most important but of this entire explainer, having the tools is not the same as having a strategy.
Seriously, I want you to just let this quote sink in for a second. Having backups feels good, right? It gives you a sense of security. But if you've never ever actually tried to restore from them in a real drill, all you really have is a bunch of data and a prayer. And hope, as they say, is not a strategy.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. We've talked about a lot of tools and ideas, so let's boil it all down into a super simple, actionable checklist that you can take back to your team, like today. So here's the game plan. The first 3 points are the easy part. They're the technical what. You just go and flip those switches on. But the last 3, that's the strategic how, and that's where the real work is. It all starts with asking 2 brutally honest questions. First, your RPO, recovery point objective. In plain English, how much data are you willing to just lose forever? Minutes? Hours? And then your RTO, recovery time objective. How long can your service be down before your customers just give up and go to your competitor? Once you know those numbers, you have to test them. You schedule game days where you intentionally practice recovering a system. This is how you turn panic into a practiced muscle memory response for your team.
So I'm going to leave you with this one last question, and I want you to really think about it. You probably have backups. Of course you do. But is your plan ready for its close-up? Is that recovery plan you have just a dusty document sitting on a shared drive somewhere? Or is it a living, breathing, battle-tested procedure that's ready for its moment in the spotlight? Because when that day comes, that's the only thing that's going to matter.